Happy Tuesday, and welcome to SNG. Cheers. I just finished up the front brakes. Didn't finish it up, but did this last video on the front brakes. And I've been reading, and you saw that I decided that I wasn't going to fight this side plate off. And the reason I wasn't going to fight that side plate off is because I want to get this thing running, and I'm excited, and I was going to take a shortcut. So man has to know his own limitations, right? And I was trying to take a shortcut. My thought process was that when I took this nut off here, this stud, and by the way, before I even go there, I had a guy that just left a comment. And it was when Buck and I were messing around with his fuel filter. It was just a spur of the moment. I pulled my phone out. We were in his garage. And thought, get a video of this. Well, it was a four-hand job for us. You get a couple old people in a garage with bad eyesight and short tempers and, sore backs. Bad things can happen. So it was a four-hand job, and I set the camera down. Every time we were fighting a clip, I set the camera down. Came back, clip was off. We were trying to fight the clip on, and the reason the clip was going on so hard is because we were pushing the O-ring down so far, we were past the groove. We thought we had to push harder and harder and harder, and we actually didn't. We had to push much less. The clip lined right up, it went right in, no problem. But again, I set the phone down. So somebody says, hey bro, the reason I watch this channel and I watch some of these YouTubes is because I'm trying to figure out how to get through the hard spot. And every time you got to a hard spot, I noticed that you laid the phone down and you're really not helping me out that much. So I thought, hey, you know what? Yeah, I buy that. And I see his point. Now, I told him, well, one of three things is going to happen. We need to get a cameraman, number one, and that's not going to happen, so that we have six hands. We're going to have to quit doing hard things, which is definitely an option, or we're going to have to just shut the camera down, and just people will have to figure it out on their own once we start talking shit afterwards. So anyhow, enough of me rambling. I had a good laugh. So thank you to whoever threw that out there. That was funny. So we bantered back and forth a little bit. He said, "Hey, I resemble some of that old stuff too," and it was a good conversation. So that got me thinking about this, and I'm thinking, you know what? I really need to take that plate off because you're supposed to center those drums up, or center the brake pads, shoes up inside the drum, or inside that drum, and you get better surface area, and you can arch those pads. There's all sorts of tricks that you can do. Get on some of these forums and read. You'll learn all sorts of things. So you can sand things down. You can send them out to get them done. You can get special racing high-speed pads that grip a little better put on. You can rivet your own pads on. There's an oodle worth of options and information out there. One of the things that I could not find was hardly anything on how do you fight one of these things off. How do you get this side plate off? So I thought, you know what? I've done it again. I did all the hard work, and I thought, well, I better show them how I did it. So I'm going to show you what I did, why I did it. I'll try to make it as quick as I can, but I don't want to miss the detailed stuff. So with that being said, I'll start. I'm gonna focus this in so you can see what I did, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna have a cocktail first. All right, so I'll jump back into the whys. here was my thought process. I took this nut off and took it off with something like this. Got that nut off. Took this nut off. Washer, lock washer, washer. Took those off. And this has got a screwdriver to hold it as you tighten the nut. I didn't know if it was threaded in here. If this was threaded in here, these are fine threads. These are not quite as fine as these, but I didn't know. So as far as just grabbing something like this and just beating the shit out of it without me knowing, I didn't do that. I did some research and I looked in the book, I looked in the parts book, it looked like it was a solid shaft. I was really looking for someone else that beat one of these out that I could see. I found very limited information. I found very limited information on the forums, but I was pretty certain that if I did try to beat them out, that it wasn't threaded. It was just, it just comes through that area and it's tight. So, because I tried to heat it a little bit and I tried to beat it a little bit, it wouldn't come out easy. That's when I thought, you know what? How much could it really move to center those brake pads? Honestly, I don't think a whole bunch, but maybe the right thing to do was to take it apart, clean it up, and see. So, here's what I did. Torch. Little sound effects going on, and I heat it here, and I heat it here, and I heated here, and I actually did this one first. I heated down here, I heated up here. Aluminum dissipates heat really quickly, so you've got to use some MAP gas, oxygen acetylene be good. Don't melt your aluminum though, but this worked good, just some MAP gas, which burns hotter than propane. I heated this up, I touched it, I knew it was hot, it was boiling spit. And I took the nut. Here's what you want to do. Thread your nut on. Thread it on 2-3 threads to where you don't booger up the first couple threads, especially on some fine thread stuff. I tightened them both on about halfway. Didn't go all the way to the end of the nut because I wanted to beat it through. And I beat and I beat and I beat to the point I was putting pressure back here so I wasn't beating the shit out of my, my fork. And I would use croil and I would hit and I would beat. And I tried to use a huge screwdriver and I went against that and I tried to turn it with a, it's not here now, this is 10 millimeter, a 10 millimeter wrench right here, and I just went from croil to heat to beat to screwdriver, and finally and I let it set for a couple days too. Finally, after a couple days, bang, I got a little bit here and I got a little bit here, and I just kept going and going and going. So finally, as I got this one down to the point where it was flush, right, I was able to take the screwdriver, fit it in here, and go ahead and push it through the rest of the way. I think I had a little smaller screwdriver so I didn't booger up the aluminum, but I knocked that pin out. Okay, so that was that. This was a different story. I beat this one down flush until I had it down to about right there. It's about as far down as I could get it. I was, I know I had a hammer that was, wasn't going to smash this, but that's when I came to the other side. And I'll turn this around and see if I can get you going here. So what I did next is I was able to, once I popped this out, I was able to pop that pin out. And you can see that it comes out. There's a washer there, and that's really it. Okay, so I took that. The next thing I did was I took the cotter key out here. I took the washer off, which is here, and I went ahead and pulled this off. Okay. I also decided I was going to clean this up, and I wanted to, I thought that I may have to take this off to get this completely off. And if I wanted to take it completely off, I could. But if you want to know how to take this off, because some of the times if these cables stretch enough that you don't have the play in your adjustment on your cable, which is up above my fender here, you have to tighten these up a little bit. So I went ahead and, as you can see, this nylon and nylock nut, and then a little triangle shaped piece that when you put this around your wire around this stud, you go ahead and put that back on and you clamp it down, and that's what keeps that. So that's how that comes off. So there I have that, and I greased that up to where that moves real nice. I cleaned this bushing up real good. So there's that. The next thing I had to do, I went ahead, and I don't know if you can see this portion here. I think you can, but if you can't, go over here. I went ahead and took 1/2-inch wrench, and I unloosened this, which is the metal tube that comes down with your brake. So went ahead and I'm going to turn this out of the way for a second. Can't see, apologies. So there you go. So now I have this out. So now I could straighten this up and I could pull this whole thing out. Next thing I had to do is get this spindle off, which what I was showing you I was beating in the other side. I would beat it one way, I'd get it out, I'd beat it back. Beat it forward, I'd beat it back. And I started to get, there's these notches. I got a piece of plate steel. I was able to put that on there, put that piece of plate steel on there, and I could grab onto it with a crescent wrench. And I would move it back and forth, and I'd grease it up, and I'd heat it up, and so on and so forth, and beat and beat and beat, and finally, I beat it over to I finally beat it flush like that, and at that point I did my best I heated it up. I took a socket and I started to hit the socket, and I struggled with that for a good, who knows, 20 minutes, couldn't get it, didn't want to booger the end up, messed around, grabbed, I've got a variety of, and you know, you have to remember, you know, hell, I'm an HVAC guy. Jonesy's a teacher, you know, he's a body man. So we love motorcycles and we're learning and, you know, we're making our mistakes. We appreciate those who are helping us along the way, but I MacGyvered something up to where I could get behind that, and I went ahead and I started to press that out. Well, once I got that in, just about that far, which is all I needed this for, then I was able to drop that baby in and I'd heat it up and I'd start the hammering process until I hammered the thing out. So once I hammered it out, I cleaned this very well. I cleaned the spindle to where I don't even have any grease on it yet, but from the opposite side, slides in pretty good. I mean, I still need to clean it up a little bit, but you get my point. Same with this piece. Got it in. Now, once I start to put the brake shoes back on and bolt everything up, I may throw another video out, but here, long story short, you put this back on there and you leave all of this loose and you take that wheel and you spin it and you crank the brake and you seat it, and maybe you do it a couple times until you have it's seated very well. While your buddy's holding that brake tight, that's when you tighten this nut and this nut so that you've centered it within your brake drum. That's the story there. So with that whole deal, now you know the rest of the story. So that's the hard part. That was the hard part. It was just a lot of heating and beating. So that's that. If you've already subscribed, thank you. We get a kick out of it. Thanks for everybody that helps us out. If you haven't, consider it. If you want to hit that notification bug to be notified the next time I make fun of my fat bastard buddy Jones, smash that thing and enjoy your evening. And thanks for watching. Ride safe. If you ride them, wrench them, but only if you want to. See ya.